We have someone being prosecuted now for trying to recruit somebody to take out power stations here in the U.S. We have U.S. bombers flying right up against the border with Russia, and it's getting them kind of upset. We have Cyprus about to explode, and if you're like, where's Cyprus, and is that a concern to me? It kind of is. We got Turkey and Greece about to start shooting at each other over the whole thing. Absolutely crazy. We got grain prices going up through the roof. Hail damage to 500,000 acres. We got lots of news to cover. Secret Service, we're going to give you a little of an update on what the Senate races are going to be looking like this year. And of course, let's start off with Kamala Harris, right? Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade. And we're trying to keep you guys up to date on what's going on out there without all the meaningless fluff and real nasty media bias that you get from the mainstream media. All right, so Kamala Harris, President Joe Biden has said that he's unfit to run for, he didn't say unfit, but that's what we all know he meant, to run for president in 2024, but apparently he's okay to keep running, or his people are able to keep running the entire world for the next 6 months. Speaker Johnson has already called for President Biden to resign from the presidency now. And word out there is it looks like Kamala Harris is going to be the presidential campaign person. We got President Biden immediately came over and dubbed her to be the next presidential candidate. And we've got people coming out on all sides. AOC came out already. Clinton. We got Newsom came out and said thumbs up. So a lot of her major contenders have already said that they're okay with it. Major donors are flocking behind her. She's already starting to get pledges from delegates, and other delegates across the spectrum are conversing on whether they should approve Kamala or not. It looks like things are running full speed ahead with Kamala Harris as the new Democratic president. Does she have a chance against Donald Trump? Probably not, but you know the shenanigans that they're going to do this season. Drop boxes and machines that use Common Core math. Yeah, all that's going to be happening and hitting us hard. We got word here on some interesting things from the FBI. If you're thinking that your cell phone is secure from the FBI and other federal agencies, well, maybe not so much. So the shooter in the incident last week, that we're not supposed to say those words anymore, of course. Thanks, YouTube. Love the freedom. Love the freedom. So FBI wanted to get into the shooter's phone, but he had a relatively new Samsung, and the FBI wasn't able to do it. So they picked up the phone and called Israel. They use Celebrite software, and their current version of Celebrite wasn't able to break in. So they called up Israel and got a new unreleased version of Celebrite to break into the phone, and they were able to successfully get in there. No word on Apple products or whatever. The article that was talking about that wasn't talking about that. It was like, hey, look, the FBI was able to get in. We should be thinking about, hey, if the FBI got into their phone, they can get into our phones, right? So just FYI out there, that the new security features in the Samsung phones, Israel can get through them, and now the U.S. federal government can too, and we know that for a fact. CNN has released a ranking of the Senate seats, the top 10 Senate seats most likely to flip this election season. Now, last election, the Republicans were playing defense. They had a lot of their seats up for re-election, and they were defending a lot of seats. This time around, 2024, the Democrats are defending a lot of seats. And so out of the 10 most likely to flip, 9 of them are Democratic seats. This may be an absolute blowout. And it doesn't even have, I mean, it could even be with Donald Trump not even winning. We could still see a blowout in the Senate. Let's go over some of these states that we're looking at. And as you hear some of these states, you're going to be like, how did they ever have a Democratic senator, right? West Virginia, Montana. How does Montana, anyway. Ohio. How does Ohio have a Democratic senator, right? Nevada. That's a little more understandable. Arizona. Michigan. Pennsylvania. Now, will Pennsylvania flip? I hope. Wisconsin. Maryland. And then the one Republican seat that's in danger is Ted Cruz's Texas seat. And when the Republicans' biggest problem in the Senate is Texas, you can see where this is going. It's probably going to be a very, very bad year for Democrats, for the Senate, maybe for the House, and probably for the presidency, right? So that's kind of the way the wind is going on those kind of things. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. Over last week, we heard from the Secret Service spokesman and other Secret Service people coming out, repeatedly denying the fact that they denied requests from not only the Trump campaign, but also the Secret Service teams, that they need more support, they need more resources, and they did that. So Secret Service is like, nope, didn't happen. That's all just fake news. Well, the Washington Post just came out and said on Saturday and said, actually, here's the receipts. Well, can you believe it? Another federal agency caught lying. Bold-faced, not like an accidental lie, not like one person said it, but the narrative that they were putting out, categorically false. They absolutely denied the request for proper resources to protect the president. And where does the buck stop again? Where does it stop? Does it stop at the director of the Secret Service? Does it even stop at the director of Homeland Security? No, friends, it stops at the White House at the very top. President Biden. He is responsible for President Trump not being protected. There's no other way of cutting this. We can talk about the Secret Service director. We can talk about the other ones. We can talk about Director Cheetos. But ultimately, President Biden did not protect his political rival. Out of sheer spite, out of incompetence, I don't know. I'll leave that one up to you. But I think it's pretty clear from the fact that he didn't provide a Secret Service detail to RFK until after he was called out by the almost assassinated Donald Trump last Monday. Yeah, it looked so bad that he finally came out, or his staffers came out and put out a text or whatever that they're going to move forward with RFK getting a protection detail. It's July. It's really late for that. Incompetence or downright petty, I don't know. 2 U.S. B-52 bombers, the big ones, right? The big old ancient bombers that are still flying around these days, that can carry quite a few cruise missiles armed with nukes. They took flight over Finland airspace. Now, if you know anything about Finland, it's like here and Russia is like here, okay? And they went over the top and basically came up near Russian airspace. Now, because it's Finland's airspace, it's not in Russia's airspace. It's the equivalent of the 2 kids in the back of the car. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. And so Russia scrambled MiG fighters, MiG-29s and MiG-31s to intercept because they were clearly in Russia's air identification zone. We freak out every time Russia tries to bring them anywhere close to our air, and usually it doesn't even enter our air identification zone before we start scrambling fighters and everything like that. We found this brand new border right on the edge of Russia, and like, let's take some strategic bombers and fly them right there. We're instigators. I mean, I love America. I love what we stand for, or what we used to stand for. But this warmongering, aggressive posturing, and harassing people around the world and countries around the world for no apparent reason gets a little old, and it's embarrassing to be called an American these days, because for so many reasons, starting with our president. Kenya has begun patrolling inside Haiti. They finally got their peacekeepers on the ground in Haiti trying to stabilize that thing. Interesting little detail way down in the bottom of the article. The United States contributed $309 million to buy tanks, basically. Armored vehicles for the Kenyans. The United States is funding the mission and equipping the Kenyans with all the armored vehicles and all that kind of stuff that they would need. So even though we're not even involved, somehow it still costs us $1/3 billion. Yep, more money, and we're not even officially part of the thing. We fund everything, I swear. Let's talk about Patriot missiles, friends. Before we get into what's going on out there with oil, Russia's oil is a lot less. We got grains being impacted. And like I said, we have that solicitation to get somebody to attack a power substation. But first, let's start off with the Patriot missiles. Interesting. How many Patriot missiles do you think we build per year? I thought it was more than this number. Apparently, we're making about 500 missiles per year for the Patriot missile systems. The Patriot missile systems that are firing missiles off like crazy over in Ukraine. Poland is trying to fire off as many Patriot missiles as they possibly can. And then we got Patriot missile defense systems all over the Middle East, shooting stuff and protecting Israel and protecting U.S. military. But we're only making 500 of these missiles per year. And that's a problem, because suddenly we're using a whole bunch of these things, right? So the U.S. Defense Department wants to go up to 750 per year. Now, this isn't just the United States. This is like the United States and all of our allies making Patriot missiles, okay? So Japan makes about 30 Patriot missiles per year. And we want them to move up towards 60. That's part of our getting up to 750. Basically, we want other countries to shoulder the load, which is not a bad idea. The problem is Japan can't make these Patriot missiles because the seeker on the front of the missile that helps it to intercept, right? Boeing can't scale up its production of seekers, which is one of the essential components in the missile, right? I mean, you can have like all the other parts and then you just have an incomplete, basically a fancy looking rock. Until you get that seeker on the front of it, it can't really do anything. They can't scale up until 2027. So we're going to move up production for missiles, but we can't, because not until 2027 can we do that. That's kind of the situation we got going on around there. We're firing off all these missiles. We're draining our missile supply of interceptors. We're draining our supply of GPS-guided munitions. We're giving everyone our bombs. We're giving everyone our smart missiles. We don't have enough. We don't have enough to go around. Big news out there. Russia, their seaborne oil, basically their ships full of oil, plunged dramatically, 570,000 barrels per day, less than previous months, or 11% drop. So Russia is suddenly producing a lot less oil out there, and that's something to take note of. We also got a lot of tankers spontaneously combusting, and yet the price of oil has plunged. No market manipulation there whatsoever, I'm sure. Andrew Kiskov, I guess, of East Brunswick, New Jersey. I can butcher his name because he's a felon now. Was arrested for trying to, allegedly a felon, arrested for trying to recruit someone to attack an electrical substation, or multiple. And he also tried to get them to conduct surveillance. Now, he was going to go over to Russia to go fight in Ukraine. So that kind of tells you what kind of guy this is. He's not the brightest bulb out there. And so he was online trying to get this person and actually trying to talk them into conducting attacks on American infrastructure, including an electrical substation or multiples. Problem was that it was a federal agent. Now, I don't know how much of that was a trap and how much he was instigated into it, but not the brightest thing to do. And just the fact that we're seeing some people trying to get other people to attack our infrastructure should give us some pause, right? And major damage to farms out in Nebraska. Approximately 500,000 acres of crops damaged. And then we have the upper Midwest, basically this apt description, has turned into a brown ocean. We got droughts springing up all across the Midwest. The drought map right now is not looking good whatsoever. And we had a whole bunch of damage down south to Texas with Hurricane Beryl. Now, Hurricane Beryl, while it damaged close by the coast and hit a bunch of croplands like that, once it got inland a little more, that was actually welcome relief by getting a bunch of rain all over a bunch of drought areas down south. So mixed blessing, but grain prices surprisingly unmoved by that. But don't expect that to stay the same much longer. We're going to start hearing the U.S. Department of Agriculture start downgrading U.S. crops pretty significantly in the coming weeks and in the next month. So expect those grain prices to start going up big time, and that's probably going to impact food prices pretty bad. All right, friends, that's what we got for you here on Monday. Your news updates. Please do send your updates in on what you guys are seeing out there at your stores and in your communities. And we'll keep you guys as connected and on the cutting edge as possible. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.